So, hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Unpacking Possibility. I'm your host, Traci Stein. As always, I'm so happy to be here with you today. And this is my holiday episode. You're going to get 10 tips for coping with what may not be the most wonderful time of the year for you. If it is, that is fantastic. And I really am excited for you. Please remember to practice gratitude. If you are one of the people who loves these get togethers and finds them uncomplicated and worry free. But for a lot of people, it's not exactly the most wonderful time of the year. Maybe you had to pay a lot for a plane ticket to visit people you're conflicted about seeing. Or maybe maybe it's just a lot of work. Or maybe you're prepping for that braggy sibling's latest success story again. Or the parent who's going to lament dramatically, I'll never be a grandparent. Or the aunt who's pronouncing who in the family has gotten fatter in the last year. You think I'm making it up, but I'm not. Some of you know there are those things and worse that may happen at your family gathering. Maybe it's the relative or the in-law who's going to have one too many cocktails and start turning whatever holiday you celebrate into Festivus. Or maybe it's someone who's going to go and take over whatever you're cooking because the implication is you're not doing it right. Or maybe it's somebody who's going to buy you a gift because they think you need that gift, and yet they know it's not something you want. And honestly, I'm going to own up to it. Years ago, I bought my mother walking shoes, never used them. Probably could have sold them on eBay because they were in perfect condition. She'd rather have a restaurant gift certificate, which is often what I now get her. But I digress. Often these times of year are either a mixed bag or even unequivocally just stressful, right? Because remember, we can choose our friends. We can usually choose where we work. We can choose how much time we spend with people in our lives and whether or not we want to spend time with them at all, except for a lot of our relatives and in-laws, and especially at the holidays. So one thing to keep in mind is that remember, everything is time limited and you can get through just about anything. Chances are you've gotten through it before and you'll get through this one too. So if somebody's asking why you're still single, you don't have to deck the halls with Uncle Phil, as they say. You can take everything in stride. You don't have to fake the flu. You don't have to take a Xanax. You don't have to, again, make this holiday Festivus. It's okay. So your 10 tips, keep in mind, it's especially helpful to have a little sense of humor. And here we go. So when in doubt, you can sublimate. And what that means is that you're going to take some undesirable impulse, right? To tell someone where to go or to, again, deck the halls with Uncle Phil. If something really awful happens, we've all had those feelings, right? Psychologists know this. We have feelings that we wouldn't want other people to know about. So sublimation is channeling a feeling or an impulse or a thought into something that is socially acceptable. So you can channel that murderous rage into cutting up the vegetables for the crudité. Or you can redirect those anxious twitches into interpretive dance moves, right? Nothing stops a boring story or an obnoxious rant midstream like interpretive dance. Absolutely nothing. So you might want to give that a try, or some version that works for you. Number 2, tip 2, is channel your inner David Sedaris, right? Famous writer, super funny, has written a ton about his family. Just the thought that you too may be able to go home and write a novel or write a memoir or write a play about some of the drama unfolding in front of you should be enough to help get you through this visit. It'll be cathartic just thinking about it. You could write, you can draw, you can cartoon everyone's expressions. You can write a comedy sketch about all of the characters present. Think about how you will let it out later, right? Just allow yourself to be laughing on the inside, because sometimes some of this stuff is so ridiculous that it's kind of hilarious. Number 3, it's okay to engage in some level of self-indulgence, right? It's okay to have just enough of something that you want to feel pleasantly naughty, right? But then nice afterwards. So, you know, if you're driving 7 hours in the snow to spend the weekend under a microscope, also make sure you have some of Great Aunt Mimi's homemade fudge. If that's what's delicious, I actually think it's okay. The holidays are a time for kind of just letting your hair down a little bit, right? You can walk it off later. Have a glass of eggnog and enjoy it. You don't have to go totally, totally wild, but 'tis the season. So just try and make it a little bit fun. You know what I mean. Number 4, plan to step back from the situation. So honestly, I would tell you this about anything, literally or mentally. So I don't care if you actually remind yourself that, again, the visit's time limited. You can absolutely survive it. You've probably survived worse than whatever holiday festivities await you. Or take an actual walk. Get out of the house, get out of the hotel, get out of the resort, wherever you're all meeting up. I would do that anyway, because it's one of the world's best ways of meditating, and it's good for you and it gets you out of the situation. So the length of the walk is probably going to increase, right? In proportion to the stress that you're experiencing. And that's really just fine. And it's also okay if you have one of those super clingy family members that invites everybody and doesn't want anyone to do anything independently, where you all have to be all together 24/7. You can't make anyone happy all of the time. You certainly can't make everyone happy pretty much ever. So remember to put the situation in perspective, and that might actually help you from, to prevent you from having that dinner table meltdown. That honestly, we all know will feel a little good in the moment, but it's going to feel really awful later. So get out and take a walk. That's number 4. Number 5. So my friend Linda, a million years ago, taught me about dysfunctional family bingo. And I don't know if she made it up or if somebody else did. Thank you, Linda. But just knowing you have this literally in your back pocket can take the edge off of a family gathering. Here's how you do it. Honestly, do it privately with maybe one friend or 2 friends who are not going to be at your family gathering. They'll have their own. You make a bingo square with each of the most dreaded family quirks occupying an individual box. So if cousin Miriam's making us eat burned latkes, and you know that's going to happen every year, that's actually pretty minor, that gets a box. You know, Joe commenting on my diet. For some people, that's going to be a few boxes because it's going to come up a few times. You're going to fill your bingo card with the myriad things that the people in your life say that you're already thinking about. You're already stressing ahead of time anyway about the annoying stuff people are going to do, right? Well, here's your chance to get a little bit of that stress out onto the bingo card. You're going to be surprised at how good you feel and how relieved, because you're going to be cracking up. Somebody's going to say something. You can take the position of the observer, go into the bathroom or into the room where you're staying, take out your paper bingo card and check it off. Let your friend do that wherever they are. And then 5 in a row, and you can shout bingo. Maybe just shout it to yourself. And maybe plan something with your friend, something that whoever wins gets something. I don't care if it's a manicure. I don't care if it's something else. I don't care if it's a bottle of wine or a night out or whatever it is, you decide, but do it ahead of time. It helps take you out of the situation, remove you a little bit from the emotions, and it gives you something that's kind of like a guilty pleasure that no one has to know about, except for maybe me. You can let me know how it works. All right, number 6, breathe, right? Breathing is the most underrated and most effective tool for self-regulating. It just, it's good for you on every level. You're going to find it's much more effective if you practice diaphragmatic breathing, belly breathing before you get in the midst of the event. No one can tell when you're doing it. You're just going to inhale, let your abdomen expand outward as you inhale, and let it relax back as you exhale. Simple. It is your body's natural stress reduction tool. Simple. The more you do it, the more effective it is. Seriously, give it a try. It's easy, free, and it feels good, and it really works. Number 7, I say, okay, practice long division. You don't actually have to. I never really liked this when I was in school. I don't particularly like doing that now, but just so you know, if you think about your life in terms of long division, a 3-day weekend represents way less than 1% of your year. And it can help, it actually does. Actually, that's pretty easy to figure out. And it can help you ride out the worst of anything related to that. Counting. Honestly, counting lets you move your awareness to something that is completely unemotional. It could be counting from 1 to 100 and back down again in your mind, silently again, so you don't look like something is more wrong. You can count back from a large number by something a little bit challenging, like counting back by 3s or counting back by 7s and starting over when you get stumped. But you cannot, I'm telling you, you cannot focus on something that requires that part of your brain and let your very limbic, emotional brain be in charge. That's just not the way it works. You cannot be as angry or as anxious or as disappointed when your attention is focused on some very neutral process. Give it a try. Number 7. So, number 8, some of you will be a little annoyed that I'm saying this in the midst of you being annoyed that some family member is doing something that you can't stand yet again. Um, but having an attitude of gratitude, it actually can transform the situation because you are probably going to find plenty of things if you really allow yourself to step back that you can be grateful for. So having family that wants to see you. Maybe you don't love the in-laws, but you love the partner you're with. Something to be grateful for. You have a few days off of work. Your health, whatever it is better than it could be. Maybe you're tired of Granny's cautionary dating tales, but grateful that she cares enough to tell you things that she thinks will keep you safe, right? You can remember that some relative's obsession with your weight or your size has way more to do with their stuff than your stuff, honestly. And it's true. It's independent of what's going on with you. If somebody is obsessed with something about you that's really none of their business. And remember, you can be grateful for the fact that you are not that person or dealing with that person's stuff. You're more evolved. That's not a small thing. Maybe the braggy sibling or cousin or whoever or in-law wants other people to be proud of them. And maybe that's because your opinion matters to them, right? So it's complicated. You don't have to be in love with the stuff that's really annoying or disappointing, or even the stuff that, there's always some toxic person out there that might want you to feel bad, But again, it's their stuff. And you get to leave, and they have to continue being that way. So find gratitude for what's good. You don't even have to make it up because there's plenty to be grateful for. That you're waking up to see another day. That the weather, even if it's cold, it's clear and crisp or whatever. Or maybe it's the gratitude that you're going to feel when you get back to your home because you realize how special it is to be in a place that is there just for you. Okay. And of course, continue any self-care practices you normally engage in, but you can even be grateful for knowing about those things. Some people don't. Now, number 9 is something that you may or may not have heard of. It's a catchy phrase, but there's a lot of wisdom in it. It's under stress. We all regress. And it's true. And what I mean by that is that under stress, we will do stuff that we might not have done since our teens or adolescence, or maybe back in our early 20s. And, however old you are now, you feel like, oh, if I've really done the work on myself, I've evolved. But when we're stressed and we're under prolonged stress, such as being, in a situation with family where it's almost like kind of stepping back in time. And sometimes it doesn't feel like stepping back to your favorite time. And so you may find yourself more reactive or more snarky or feeling more defensive or whatever it is. And you might find that maybe you have one drink too many, or you say something that you wish you didn't, or you don't stand up for yourself in a moment where normally you would, because in that moment you feel like a much younger version of you than you normally do. And I want you to know that that is really okay. Number 8 is to remember that, again, under stress, we all regress. We might not be the version of ourselves that is the one we feel most identified with generally, or that makes us the most proud. We might just have a little bit of a moment or a lot of a moment where we say something maybe in a way that wasn't as nice as we could have said, right? Or again, we don't stand up for ourselves because in that moment we just feel so shut down. So number 10 is, it's a combo, right? It could actually be 10 and 11, but forgive yourself for the stuff you do that you wish you had done differently, and for the stuff you maybe didn't do that you wished you did in a moment where you felt particularly regressed or vulnerable or stressed or unsupported. Practice forgiveness. Because what happens is when you practice forgiveness, you're not letting yourself, quote, get off the hook, but you're treating yourself with self-compassion when you do that, because you're only human, right? Like everybody else. And what's really interesting is that when we are self-compassionate, we're more likely to be compassionate with other people. We step back, we see things through a different lens, through a broader lens. We see the bigger picture. Maybe we understand a little more of why somebody is the way they are. And just so you know, that does not mean, even if you understand with and have compassion or empathy for somebody, that you have to take other people's crap, that they should know better in a perfect world than to keep dishing your way, right? So you don't have to surrender good boundaries just because you feel forgiveness for somebody else, or self-compassion and then compassion for others. But forgiveness is one of these things that is incredibly transformative, and it really has to start with you. Again, we're all only human, right? So number 10 then is, if you do something that you wish you didn't do, or again, maybe you fail to do something you think you should have done, whatever it is, it's okay to apologize. You can apologize to yourself. And honestly, I think that goes hand in hand with forgiveness. I'm sorry I let you down. Say it lovingly. Maybe you will be the first person to say that to you. And maybe other people should have, but whether or not they did, you can say that to you. But if you have hurt somebody else or acted in a way that you don't think is really great or okay or acceptable according to your own values and highest goals for yourself, apologize. And the only rule is just to make it sincere. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I said that. I'm sorry I did this. I wish I didn't. And you don't have to go into a lengthy explanation. You can give a little explanation, but I was just feeling really X, but I still wish I didn't say that. And it's not okay. And I'm aware of that. Apologize. And remember, somebody else's willingness to accept your sincere, heartfelt apology isn't really what determines whether it's a worthy apology. If you're saying it in a straightforward and truly sorry way, truly contrite way, just allow yourself to feel okay and satisfied with the fact that you did the best you can do, including with the apology. So that's it. That's my 10 tips for getting through what may not be the unequivocally most wonderful time of the year, but whatever you celebrate, whatever it is, I hope that it is absolutely wonderful. You deserve it. Please make sure that as you're buying gifts for other people or doing things for other people or making changes in your schedule or making effort on behalf of others this holiday season, that you also do something really nice for you. Again, you're worth it. So until next time, this is Traci Stein in another episode of Unpacking Possibility. I'm wishing you a wonderful holiday season and new year. And until next time, be well. And of course, if you enjoyed the episode, please remember to like, share, and follow. It helps me continue bringing good content to you.